So we're gonna do a fridge, freezer, and pantry clean out. Let's get started. The first thing I see is some leftover vodka sauce. I know I have some bits of cheese in there, and somewhere back there I have an open jar of sauce. So I'm gonna make that's not vodka sauce. That is Alfredo. What is that? That's some kind of sauce. Oh, I may have already took the Alfredo and mixed it with, I don't know what I did there. I have to look at that. It was a long week. So I'm going to take the Alfredo and the red sauce, the tomato sauce, and some cheese, and I'm going to make some kind of a pasta. So yeah, I think we can do a no spend November. And we have a deep freezer downstairs and a refrigerator outside. I think we're good. I really hope this is a no judgment zone because this pantry looks like a whole mess. Look at that. Yes, it has to be cleaned out. I understand. Don't judge me. I'll erase your negative comments. But I think we can do a no spend November. This is really the only space I have in here, and I don't really have anybody to make it pretty or put up shelves for me. So this is what I'm working with, and this is what it's going to look like. Okay? Okay. So this is what I found in my refrigerator and pantry. Some ziti. This is what I did with this. I did already mix a little bit of cut up cheese that I already had left over, the leftover Alfredo sauce, and some jarred tomato sauce. I have this mild cheddar. Please excuse that in the background. I have about a half a container of ricotta cheese, the smaller half, and I have a jar of pasta from the pantry. So I'm not sure if I want to just make a pasta with this plain sauce or make a baked ziti, or have some other pastas in my pantry, make one now and a baked ziti later. We'll see what I come up with. So I put some water on to boil. I did take that sauce in the container that I had, added a little bit more red sauce, and I decided I was going to use this pasta and I'm going to put a little bit of this mild cheddar into the sauce, and then I'm just going to boil the pasta and mix it together. I'll make the baked ziti another day. So I just threw a handful of that mild cheddar in there. I'm going to give that a good stir, boil my pasta, mix them together, toss it up, and I have one lonely piece of garlic bread in the refrigerator and probably some stuff to make a salad. Not really sure, but I'm trying to avoid the grocery store for a no spend November. Well, except for Thanksgiving. And there it is. It was really good and a good way to use up some things left in my refrigerator. This night I just made some calamari rings, and I took some adobo, some sazon, and I mixed that in with some flour, gave it a good mix, and then I'm just going to coat my calamari rings in that. I also season the calamari rings the same exact way, and tentacles. I know that kind of grosses some people out, but they're really good. Seasoned that the same exact way, coated it in the flour mixture, and then I just put them in the deep fryer. I ended up doing them a few at a time then, because it's kind of tedious just to get one at a time in there. So then I just dropped them down into the fryer, let them fry until they were crispy, and pulled them out. And I served that with, now for some people this might be weird, but with some rice and a banana. This is kind of a Dominican thing, so I apologize in advance. Then this night I made some steaks on the grill. I had these steaks in the freezer. Just seasoned them up. You can season them however you'd like. I made them with a side of broccoli and some potatoes that I just put in the microwave to cook. This night I made some nachos. I used some leftover steak. I had a bag of tortilla chips just hanging out in my pantry. So I used those, cut the steak up thin, and I had a jalapeno hanging out in my crisper drawer. So I just cut that up. Um, I like to take the seeds out of it, but my son is a little daredevil and he likes some extra heat. So this plate was for him, and I left the seeds in for him because he asked me to. So I just topped it with that and some extra, and it was just, he loved it. He had a good time with this. So a ton of jalapeno peppers, and then I had a little bit of this white melting cheese from Sam's Club in the refrigerator from a taco night that we did a little while back, and I just heated that up, let it get melty, and I just drizzled that all over the top of it. He loved this. He had a really good time with this meal. On top of this, I did add, look at, that's just a ton of cheese. It's like, but it's okay. He's a wrestler, he's an athlete, he burns a ton of calories, and he is, I'd say, pretty skinny. So yeah, I don't feel bad about giving this to him. So then I just added some salsa on there, enough, and I put some sour cream. You can use anything that you have hanging out in your refrigerator. If you have tomato, if you have some lettuce. I didn't have these things, and I wanted this to be a no-spend November minus Thanksgiving, but I am going to have to go to the grocery store for some fresh produce because I just cannot live without it. So you can definitely add some lettuce, some tomatoes, some diced onions, taco sauce. You can use any kind of meat that you want or no meat at all. So yeah, this is a really versatile meal. So here I am just adding that sour cream. My son loves sour cream, so he could literally just eat the nachos, the chips with the sour cream and the salsa. So added the sour cream on there, had a really hard time because I was holding the camera in my hand, and this was a really fast and cheap meal because it was, items that I already had laying around. I didn't have to go to the grocery store for this. So I'm just going to finish getting this all ready and serve it up to them. Now, this night I had this cabbage hanging out as well. And so what I did was I took half of the cabbage and I made halushki with it. I know that that's not something that everyone is familiar with, but it's a Polish dish and it's pretty easy to make. So what you do is just cut the cabbage, and we don't need a ton of it. Cabbage cooks down pretty good. So I did use the whole half of the cabbage, but I saved the other half to make something else with for another day. And cabbage holds up really well, especially if you have it in the refrigerator. It could hold weeks. So I just cut the cabbage up into about inch pieces. And then I also have an onion there hanging out in the back waiting to be cut up as well, that I'm going to do the same thing with. Just cut it up into inch pieces. It doesn't have to be perfect. The pieces don't have to be uniform. And if you have some that are bigger than others, that's okay as well. So you're just going to take this cabbage and the onion after you have that all cut up, and you're going to put it into a pot with just a little bit of water in there so that you can cook the cabbage down. So here I am. I just finished cutting up the onion, and I have the cabbage in the pot. So you just want to make sure that there's just a little bit of water in there so it can cook down, because then we're going to brown it off once it's cooked. So you want to give the cabbage a little bit of time to cook before you add the onions, and then we're going to add the onions in, and then we're going to give the onions a little bit of time to cook as well. This is really not one of my favorite things, but my son does like this, so that's what I make it for him pretty much. So just give it a good stir, get all of them onions incorporated in there, cover it up and let the onions cook down. Once the onions and the cabbage are cooked down, you're going to drain all that water out of there and then you're going to add the butter in. It is a pretty good amount of butter, but you're also going to add some pasta in here. That was really giving me a hard time. And now that I'm looking at it, it aggravated me again. It was really annoying. That butter wouldn't come off of the paper. But anyway, we're getting off track here. So you're going to add that butter in there. It turn down the heat a little bit and just let the butter melt with your vegetables. In the meantime, you're going to be cooking up some noodles. I use egg noodles, but you can really use any, smaller kind of pasta that you want. But typically this is made with egg noodles. So then I'm going to salt and pepper this up. I probably used, I'm going to say a teaspoon of salt, a teaspoon of pepper, and then probably a half a teaspoon of onion powder. Once you've added your spices, you're just going to want to add your egg noodles and then mix it all up and it's all done and you're ready to eat. If you like these recipes, please consider liking and subscribing for more videos that are using up what's in my fridge, pantry, and freezer.